All right, guys, our next guest is a real veteran of the sport and a true definition of a fighter. He's taking on Demian Maia, the stacked UFC 211, in a fight that has some serious title implications for the welterweight division. And he is currently on his easy money tour. He is none other than Jorge Masvidal. Jorge, welcome to Submission Radio. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Pleasure to be on here talking to the Australian fans. I've met a lot of Australian people in my time in training. Some of the best people that I've met come from Australia, man. So I'm honored to be doing this show.
Very nice, very nice. What a great compliment. We're happy to be a couple of those people. And speaking of being around the world, we saw recently, Jorge, you were in Colombia. What were you doing there, and how was your trip?
Oh, it was awesome. It went smooth. I had a couple seminars and appearances to do, and just spreading MMA through South America. I happen to speak Spanish as my first language, so it was like a no-brainer for me to get sent over there and just show what I know, and just keep spreading the love.
We imagine it would be an amazing trip. Is there a favorite part of the trip? Anything stand out to you that you could share with us?
The food. I mean, I've always grown up eating like Latin food, but it's always a little different when you get there. It's a little slight different seasonings and things like that. And their fruits, their vegetables, they grow a little bit different than they do like in America. A lot of our food is like shitty in our ingredients too, because everything's processed. So it's always awesome to go to like a country from where that particular food comes and eat like fresh ingredients and not like a bunch of preservatives or steroids in your food, So that was a real treat for me.
Yeah, we're big foodies, so we feel you there, Jorge. You actually took a picture outside of a restaurant with the hashtags, I don't know what it is, hashtag it's good, hashtag cat, hashtag rat. Did you find out what it was? And please tell us you didn't end up eating any cats or rats, Jorge.
Yeah. It's these rats. I think they're like part of the gerbil family, or I'm not sure, but they get up to like 120 pounds.
Wow.
They're really big. Yeah, they're really big. They're really gamey. If you like gamey meat and salty meat, you'll like them. I've had other things like alligator and ostrich, bison, things like that. And I like those meats, but I wasn't too much of a fan of this rat. It was real gamey, real salty.
Oh, wow, there you go. All right, so let's talk about this easy money tour, Jorge. Demian Maia, he's not exactly somebody who other fighters are calling out. His skill set presents a lot of problems for a lot of guys, and you, on the other hand, openly called him out. What made you want to fight him so much?
Well, we had sat down, me and my manager, and we picked a couple fights that would be good for me, stylistically. Jake Ellenberger was part of that process. Then after Jake, business got handled. Cowboy was on the radar always forever. So when we had the opportunity to jump on Cowboy, we jumped on it. So it was a no-brainer. And then the next toughest fight after that is Demian Maia. I thought, not that it's the toughest for me, but it's the guy that nobody really wants to fight in the division. And I'm here to fight, man. You can't beat a guy like Cowboy and a guy like Demian Maia back to back if you're not a well-rounded fighter. And I've been doing this for a long time. I don't got time to keep proving in the UFC how good I am. So just give me the best guys you got and let's get the ball rolling. And if I'm not meant to be at this level, then we'll find out come May 13th. But if I am as good as I say I am, then the world will see, and then we know what's next. It's a title shot. No other way around it.
Yeah. And I mean, after the Cowboy fight, you said that you've beaten better fighters outside the UFC. I'm wondering, obviously, Damian's a tough guy. That's why you're fighting him. But where does Demian rank in terms of your past opponents? Is he the stiffest test for you, or do you think you've already overcome bigger challenges in the past?
I know I've overcome bigger challenges in the past by far. Just not the fight alone, but like implications that happen on fight week, me getting sick and pulling through that to get the victory and things like that. Overall, in my life, I've done way taller mountains I've climbed than Demian Maia. Demian Maia is a one-bladed sword. He's a dude that's good at only one thing. Almost damn near impossible for these low-level grapplers. Guys that can't wrestle back into him, he's like a god to them because he's going to get them down on the mat. But now when you got somebody like me that can wrestle back into a dude, it's a problem. You see me fight good grapplers. They spend more time on their back than I do. Nobody's ever taken me down to UFC and rid me out. And when I mean ridden out, like 30 seconds or more, and that's probably like the longest I've been on my back. It's not going to be no different with Maia, He's going to get to my leg, we're going to scramble, and I'm going to continue to out-scramble him. And when he feels that pressure, when he feels, hey, man, I'm wrestling here with a guy that knows how to wrestle, that's what's going to kill him in the mind, because he probably thinks I can't wrestle, Or he probably does know that I can wrestle, and he's going to drop guard. But either way, it's not going to be his night.
I mean, when you look at his past fights and the success that he's had, where do you think Damian's past opponents have gone wrong in their approach to fending off his takedowns and the ground game?
them dudes can't wrestle. They can't even spell wrestle. They can't spell sprawl. You know, it's a different league, you know. Some guys are really good strikers, and they put everything into that. This is not a striking match. This is not Muay Thai. This is not boxing. You got to be able to stop a takedown if you want to be at the top of the food chain. I've invested a big part of my life into this game, and a big part of my game is wrestling, not because I need it to win, but because I love it. Now, it helps that I'm good at it and I can win fights. But I love to wrestle. I love to get on the mat, put my mouthpiece on, and wrestle. We go hard 2 hours. We drill an hour hard, and then we go live hard. And I'm not wrestling with a guy that does Muay Thai or kickboxing. You know, I'm wrestling with the guys that wrestle their whole life from 7 years old. And they're slamming me all over the place. But guess what? I've gotten better and better and better. I go to universities and stay there for a month just wrestling with guys that all they do is they wrestle. And they kick my ass. But you know what? I got better every trip. I kept going back. Now when I go to these places, I could hold my own. I'm not beating these studs, but I could hold my own. A guy like Demian has never felt this type of wrestling defensively in his life. Now, he's better with the gi. He's real good at throwing arm bars and rear naked chokes and all that jiu-jitsu stuff. But he's not going to get to those positions on me. It's a different animal.
Yeah, and we've heard you say many times about, you know, your love of wrestling and especially the tough mindset of it. That's one of the things that stands out to you. Have you sort of felt the need to focus on more of it sort of than usual in preparation during this camp? Or do you feel like all those years of investing the time, going to universities, you've sort of already, I guess, got it under your belt and you don't need to have an extra focus for this camp?
No, definitely I needed to have a, you know, usually I focus on my tools for a fighter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't worry about what they do, you know. I focus on my tools. But for Demian, we put a little bit extra in the wrestling department, you know, to make sure that I'm on point, that my reflexes are sharp, you know. From camp to camp, you kind of lose tools. You forget about certain things because I'm fighting a guy that has maybe a devastating left hand or a right hand, and I can't fight him with my hands low because, you know, he has a really good a high kick or something. So I got to have him up. So my wrestling defense, you know, it kind of switches, and I start wrestling from the hip as opposed to using my head and arms to be the first defense, you know. So from guy to guy, you gotta pick your strategies and pick your battles. For Demian, I had to go back in the mat, resharpen some tools, and make sure they're ready to go, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, other than the wrestling, how do you see the fight playing out? What do you think is the most likely scenario?
The most likely scenario is that I get in there, we start exchanging shots. He fake pretends to stand up with me like he does with everybody. He gets to my leg at one point or another, and he gives it all he's got to take me down, you know, and I stuff that takedown. We get back to our feet. I start peppering him up. He does the same thing again. He's going to get to my leg, and then he's going to think, oh, I got him tired, which that guy will never outgas me. He gets to my leg again. The same thing happens. At that point, either like on the second or third attempt, I think he's going to drop guard. And I think when he drops guard, a lot of guys back up, and they give him those 3-4 seconds of time, you know. I won't give him no time ever to break. Whether he's dropping guard, whether I take him down, whether he takes me down, he'll never catch a break with me. If he's on top of me, I'm out. He still won't catch a break because I'm moving the whole time. I don't stop. You know, guys take me down, I'm moving. It's something you got to develop, and the only way to develop it is by doing it. And you know why guys don't get good at it? Because it sucks. Most fighters, a lot of them are pussies when it comes to that department. They don't want to get beat up in the wrestling department because it takes all the energy you have to get up and get away from a good grappler. You know, when you got a guy that's strong that knows how to wrestle, man, it takes a lot to get away from them. To do that day in and day out, it takes a different mindset. You have to wrestle at that level, you know, and that's something that Maia hasn't felt. Now, I'm not saying I'm the greatest grappler ever. I could be popping up, maybe get leg locked or something crazy. But more times than not, when he gets to my leg, I'm going to out-scramble that guy.
I love it. I love how vivid the prediction is. You can tell that you visualized this many times. I'm wondering, because Jorge, you've mentioned in the past about wanting to bet Dana White $200,000 that he can't find anybody at welterweight that can beat you. Have you spoken to him about it, and has he taken you up on the offer? Will it be in play for this fight?
I wish it was in play for this fight, man. I wish, man. We reached out to him. It was no comment. You know, it was like, oh, you know, just fight this guy, and you know, there was no implications of a bet, you know. So, I mean, I don't think any bet will be made, but I still got the money. The money's there. It's on hold. If Dana calls me tomorrow and he goes, hey, you know what, I'm going to take you up on the bet. I think Maia's got your number. That money's going into a escrow account, and the winner will take the money.
Wow.
I mean, it's a fascinating bet. Just to sort of talk to us about that confidence, because obviously you had some very good and close fights against Benson Henderson and Lorenz Larkin that maybe didn't go your way. What's changed? What is it that makes you believe you've turned the corner to where nobody at 170 can beat you?
Well, I always felt like that, but I was at 55 and I wasn't getting the love that I felt I needed. I had lost one fight. There was another controversial loss, and I was 5-1 at one point at 155. 3-win fight streak or 4-win fight streak. I think it was like 3 fights. Yeah, 3-fight win streak. And I just wanted the bigger names. But I wasn't. My mind wasn't really in it. I wasn't training full time, dedicated to it, because I was getting these opponents that I never even heard of. I'm like, why am I getting these guys? This is a step back. I've been fighting already for a long time. A lot of my counterparts from Strikeforce, guys that I beat up, they hopped over to the UFC and they had top 10 guys, guys that I embarrassed, guys that I took the food off their plate and ate it, and they were getting top 10 opponents. It was blowing my mind. I'm like, when's my break? Maybe after this next fight, okay, I beat this guy, submit that guy, I beat this guy, I beat that guy. Okay, the top 10 dude is coming now. Guess what? No top 10 guy at 55. I moved up to 70. Anyways, at 55, it was killing my body. At 70, I was just like, man, if they're not going to give me big names, I'm not even going to train for these guys, But the ball started rolling. I got Jake, which was ranked. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to put my heart and soul into this one more time, see how far I could go with this, And after Jake, I got my gift wrap present of Donald Cerrone, which everybody and their mama thought that dude's going to walk through me. There's no scenario where that guy beats me, and now guys see that and go, bro, don't even put them together. That's not fair. Now people see it. They didn't see it then because the UFC is not pushing me. They're not branding me out there, And I'm not a fucking whore on social media doing all that crazy shit, So now people know I could scrap when it comes to standing up. If people are about to find out right now, if they don't already know, how good my grappling defensively is.
I mean, that's fascinating. I'm just curious, have you ever had an opponent in the UFC that, there was no name value and you just didn't really train for them at all?
Man, I don't like to say too much on that subject, but if you talk to my coaches like Mike Brown or a couple of my other coaches, they'll tell you 3-4 week training camp, let's go. The weight was on point. Let's go. Come on, let's scrap. Because I like to fight. At the end of the day, I love to fight. That's why I do this. The media, the picture taking, the running 3 miles at 12 o'clock at night because I'm a little bit overweight. I don't really like that. The dieting, I don't really like that. I like sparring, I like wrestling, things like that. But there's a lot of things I don't like. So when I get an opponent that I'm like, man, why are they doing me like this? A lot of times I didn't train. Now you better believe I'm lifting weights 4 or 5 times a week. I'm running, I'm swimming, I'm doing everything I can to destroy my body, to build it up. So when that fateful day comes on May 13th, there's no excuses from this side. I'm just ready to go with everything I got.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, you mentioned before how you were sort of, when you were a little bit unmotivated, you wanted to give it one more shot. When you say one more shot, what exactly do you mean? Was there any contemplation on your part of maybe, I don't know, you obviously love fighting, but did you ever think about retiring or doing something else? Or if you didn't get this push, anything like that?
Not retiring, but I was like, man, this is, I'm not going to, I'm going to have to pick up like something on the side to do, and then I'll just train 3-4 weeks for these guys that they're giving me and just live that lifestyle. I wasn't living that year-round training. My mind was in it, but it wasn't really in it. I was thinking, man, I could go to boxing. I'll start from the bottom of boxing. In 2 years, I'll have 20 fights. Maybe I can make a nice payday because at the same time, we're not fighting big-name guys. I'm not getting big money. We're fighting Joe Blow and Joe Dirt. They don't give a fuck. They're not going to pay me money. So that's another thing that hurt me a lot. I could beat all these guys. They could line them up, all these Ultimate Fighter winners and up-and-comers. I'm never going to get the money I want or deserve. Now things have changed. Now I can fight for the title and be making the most money out of everybody in the whole UFC roster because I can have that belt wrapped around my waist, God willing. So things change now,
And I mean, a big win over Cowboy Cerrone, now Demian Maia. Do you feel like you're in a position now where the UFC will sort of begin to push you a bit more and push your name out there a bit more now that you're sort of more on the big stage and versing a lot of these bigger names?
No, I don't think so. I think that they probably think that, tell you the truth, man, I don't know what they think. I don't know if they're going to push me or not. I know that the matchmakers and things like that, if you ask them, they'll tell you I'm one of the hardest dudes to get matched up. I'm one of the dudes that's had the most fights turned down. So they know because of the fighters, from them calling somebody and go, hey, you're going to fight Masvidal. And they're like, you know what? I'm injured. And they're like, hey, but wait, you just called me yesterday asking for a fight. Now I'm giving you one and you're injured? Okay, whatever. Call the next guy. Hey, you want to fight Masvidal? No, that's not the fight I was looking for. So they know that I'm a fucking nightmare. But I don't think they're going to push me like they're going to push me like they do a lot of these guys. That I don't think is going to happen until I have the belt wrapped around my waist.
And has anyone confirmed to you that this is basically you're fighting for a title shot? Because everyone's kind of looking at it and saying Demian Maia's on this big streak. If he wins, he's going to get a title shot. But I feel like because you've sort of come out of nowhere and really not out of nowhere, obviously you've had a massive career, but people only started taking notice after the Cerrone fight. I'm just wondering, has anyone confirmed to you that this is your title shot? Has the UFC confirmed this to you?
Nothing's written on paper, and if it's not written on paper, my brother, it means shit to me. You know what I'm saying? Because they could turn around and GSP is coming at 170 now, and boom, George, you got sidelined. That could happen. Maybe another WWE star crosses over. Who knows? There's a bunch of craziness and madness. But if anybody's more deserving of a title shot than Maia, it blows my mind. Now, if I beat Maia, because Maia's clear the number one contender in my head. If I beat Maia, if I'm not the most deserving dude of that title, then it's just too much politics involved in it. It's just too much who could sell the most, who this, who that. I don't see them skipping me if I beat Maia, especially if I do my job. I don't see him bypassing me. Anything can happen in the sport.
I mean, one of the interesting dynamics here is that if you face Tyron Woodley for the title, it's kind of like you guys are fighting between teammates. Even though he spends a lot of time at Roof for Sport these days, you're both long-time ATT guys. How would you describe your relationship with him?
Oh, I'm super cool with Woodley, man. He's I wouldn't say we're like fucking best friends, but he's really cool. I've known Woodley 9+ years, 10+ years. We've worked out together plenty. He's one of the guys who used to slam me all around the place. I was at 155. He was at 170 pounds, and he was just the wrestler that is a superpower, 2-time All-American, big, explosive, and he had the wrestling experience. So that was one of the dudes that got my wrestling a little better, from going with guys like that. So me and Woodley know each other real well, He knows where my strengths are. I know where his strengths are. So when it comes to fight time, it won't be no magic or nothing crazy like that,
But you mentioned when it comes to fight time, he obviously knows you very well, and he knows that you want that belt. What happens if you get this title shot? Have you guys already spoken about the dynamic of, you guys fighting each other despite your teammates? And is that basically all settled and all fine between you guys?
Well, like I've always told the media, I've never talked about fighting Robbie or fighting Woodley or anything because I've always said the same thing. You know what? When I cross that bridge, we'll talk about it. Now I'm about to cross the bridge. So it's God willing, I cross this bridge and I beat Maia, then we'll talk about it. I still got another guy ahead of me that I never underestimate nobody. So my main focus is Maia. Now, if God willing, I get to erase this dude, then we're fighting 100% for sure. That's a no-brainer. I didn't get into this game to high five with people. I play like if one rugby player leaves the team and goes to another rugby team, and now they meet in the championship, are the guys going to sit out because they used to be teammates? Hell no. They need to get paid. Same here. I need to get paid.
I mean, people are trying to figure out who Tyron's next opponent's going to be, but he's already stated on social media that he started training camp for his next opponent, and he's also stated that he's targeting UFC 213 as the date and event. Would that be enough time for you to prepare for a potential 5-round title fight if things with Demian Maia go to plan?
I would like to say 1,000,000%, but I am stepping into a fight. I don't know that if the kick that I take Maia's head off with, I explode my foot and I can't run. So now, I'm impaired. I'm going into this fight with a broken hand or anything like that. So I would love to say for me that date would be phenomenal, but I have a fight ahead of me. So I never underestimate no man that match. Like there's a couple dudes that have been like, I don't need to train for that guy. But as far as fighting goes, you could get an injury out of nowhere. Maybe I get into a scramble, I pop a little ligament, I need some time to rehab. I would like to say that date is fine with me. But I can't say 100% sure,
Sure.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I guess one of the things that people are sort of looking at is it does kind of look like Nick Diaz will be taking on Woodley at 213, but nothing's set in stone, which would possibly mean there's a matchup there between you and Nick Diaz. I mean, is that something that excites you, possibly having the opportunity to fight Nick Diaz if Nick is the champion once you beat Demian Maia?
That wouldn't excite me at all if he skipped me, because I can't think of the last time that he fought at 70, and the last guy that he beat at 70. So in this game, to me, in my opinion, it should be if you're fighting and you're winning, then, praise and worship be to you, and then you get this money. But if you're just sitting out on the sidelines for whatever, I don't think I should get skipped by any man at this point, But that is a strong possibility. The UFC could just call me and be like, hey, you got to sit this out. Nick Diaz is fighting Woodley, and then you'll get the winner of that. That's a possibility, I don't have that much power over the UFC.
Sure. As we let you go, Jorge, you went skiing in Denver after your win over Cerrone. What do you think you'll do to celebrate in Dallas, Texas after you beat Maia? Anything you want to do over in Dallas?
Oh, I'll fuck up those barbecues, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big food connoisseur. The Texas barbecues, the Mexican places, because the Mexican food in Florida ain't that good, So I'll be messing up the Mexican places, the barbecue. I just eat, man. I'm a simpleton. I like to eat, A lot of times I went to sleep hungry, and not just because I was cutting weight. So now I probably put too much stock into food. If I could just have good food, that's a good day for me.
Yeah.
But that's my after party. I'll be picking out. My hotel room will be filled with all the food I wanted to eat for the whole week.
Oh, wow. Don't forget to invite us. I feel like you'll be doing the easy money tour, and then you'll be doing the barbecue afterwards, and Dallas won't know what hit them. So we're excited, man. Guys, don't forget to follow Jorge on Twitter and Instagram at GameBredFighter. He'll be taking on Demian Maia at UFC 211, May 13th in Dallas, Texas, and because of the time difference, it will be May 14th here in Australia. Jorge, thank you so much for chatting with us. We really appreciate it. Good luck in the fight.
Thank you, guys, man. I love my Australian fans. Some of the best people I ever met come from that island, man. So big shout out to Australia, man.